in your bio, something I didn't know before when we've taught. You were a rodeo doctor for a while. Now that
Yeah.
strikes me as being a very busy job.
Well, it is. These guys are tough. They're independent. They're resilient. They're self-reliant, and they tend to be Republicans because they're all conservative. But they are tough, and it's a privilege to work with all of them.
I don't know if you've watched the new Kevin Costner series Yellowstone, but it is sort of an advertisement against getting on a bronking bucko because of the number of orthopedic surgeons involved with most of those people. So, welcome, Senator. Yesterday, Leader McConnell agreed with Leader Schumer on how the Senate will operate. You want to give us the thumbnail?
Well, it's a 50-50 Senate, and we know that a vice president can break those ties, but there's going to be an equal number of people, Republicans and Democrats, on each committees. The committees will be chaired by the Democrats, and so much of the discussion was to say, let's do what they did back with Daschle and Trent Lott. But our concern has been the Democrats' drive to get rid of the filibuster, to take away minority rights, and we just need to make sure the American people understand that the Senate was built for some consensus, and the reason that we have 60 votes as a threshold out there is so people can come together and come up with solutions that are best for the country, not do what Bernie Sanders has talked about, which is push Biden as far to the left as possible. And the way they try to do that is by threatening to eliminate the filibuster and say we're going to do it with 50 votes plus the vice president breaking the tie on liberal issue after liberal and socialist issues.
So we have Senators Sinema of Arizona and Manchin of West Virginia saying under no circumstances will they break the filibuster. Do you trust them?
Well, at the moment, but I think that if things they get pushed and the Democrats threaten to take away Joe Manchin's chairmanship of the Energy Committee, he and I work closely on that committee. I'm the senior Republican on the committee. He'll be the chairman as the Democrat on the committee. They've threatened him in the past. So I'm hoping that they stay with their word. You know, just don't forget, Hugh, that a number of years ago, Susan Collins and Chris Coons, when President Trump was in office and we had a majority in the Senate and a majority in the House of Republicans, they circulated a letter and said we should not violate the filibuster. Well, 31 Democrats signed on to that, including Kamala Harris, who's now vice president of the United States. So you had all of these Democrats when the shoe was on the other foot saying, no, don't change the filibuster. Now we're going to find out if they're hypocrites or not, and I think many of them will turn out to be hypocrites.
I do not hope this happens, largely because I want to protect the Supreme Court, and I want to make sure that we are not changing the fundamental structure of the Republic. Do you believe that's actually possible, that they would try and pack the court?
Well, that's what happens if they get rid of the filibuster and say, no, we're going to do it by majority and have Kamala Harris taking up residence in the Senate to break tie vote after tie vote. You worry about a number of things that they have threatened during the campaign, and one is to pack the court. Remember, it was Chuck Schumer standing in front of the Supreme Court last spring, saying we're coming for you, and he mentioned Kavanaugh and Gorsuch, and that was before we put Amy Coney Barrett on the court. So there's a lot to be said for the Democrats. If they are continued to be driven by their far left socialist activist wing, and they had that full page ad against Senator McConnell in the New York Times this weekend. It basically said eliminate the filibuster. Former President Obama has coming to say eliminate the filibuster. You've had a number of groups, Harry Reid saying eliminate the filibuster. And you say, to what end? And the ends are the sort of things that they want to go after, whether it's guns, abortion, immigration, taxes, and the big ones are D.C. statehood, Puerto Rico statehood, and packing not just the Supreme Court, but other courts by packing, we mean expanding the number, going beyond 9, even though Ruth Bader Ginsburg said 9 was the right number, going beyond that to 11 or 13. And then when you get a Republican president in majorities again, then does it go to 19 or 21? We need to stop it now.
So, Senator Barrasso, the key thing to me is that we've got a clear mandate from America to govern from the middle with a 50-50 Senate. The question becomes, do you think in the impeachment proceeding that's going to be worn away or will be advanced?
Well, I think it's unfortunate that we're even moving to that. the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, John Roberts, is not going to come to preside. I understand that the presiding officer will be the senior senator from Vermont, Pat Leahy, who would be a presiding officer as well as one of the jury, because he's already voted to convict President Trump during the former impeachment trial. So this, to me, seems to just be lowering the situation. I think it's going to make matters worse. Right now we still have 5,000 National Guard troops that were supposed to go home after the inauguration. They're still here until the middle of March because of the impeachment trial that Nancy Pelosi and then Chuck Schumer are making us go to in the Senate. I don't see 17 votes to convict in terms of the Republican side, because to convict, it's 2/3 votes of the United States Senate, and that would mean 17 Republicans would have to join every Democrat to convict in what to me is less and less a credible trial to try to convict a former president of the United States. I mean, President Trump is today a private citizen, and I don't think we should be doing that at all in the United States Senate.
No, Senator Barrasso, 3 weeks ago I argued it was unconstitutional. Since then, Judge Michael Luttig, J. Michael Luttig, who is the Fourth Circuit judge who retired after not being named the Chief Justice instead of John Roberts. They're good friends, but he came in second. He retired. He went to Boeing. He said it's unconstitutional. He's been joined by Senator Tom Cotton, Professor Alan Dershowitz. There are people on the other side, but how do you feel about that? Is this proceeding constitutional?
Well, I agree with Judge Luttig, and I think you have Ted Cruz coming up within the next hour. Ted clerked for Judge Luttig in the district court before Ted went to clerk on the Supreme Court. We're going to have today at our conference lunch Jonathan Turley, who's a legal scholar, to go over a number of these issues as well. I just don't think it's constitutional to proceed, and I think Judge Roberts, by saying he's not going to come to preside, even lessens the legitimacy of the process even more.
So would it make more sense, and obviously the conference will talk, but would it make more sense to try for a motion to dismiss, and failing that, to sit there stonily, accept no witnesses, and then vote to dismiss based on jurisdictional issues at the end of it without ever getting into the substance?
Well, I think there are a number of us that are ready to take that vote. It's not likely that we'll get a majority to dismiss. I think that Rand Paul and Ron Johnson have a vote lined up for this afternoon after we get sworn in as jurors, and I think that's about 2:30 this afternoon, so people may want to tune in to watch the action on the floor at the time. The trial's not actually set to start until into February, because it's only fair to give there was no fairness in the House process. No due process, no witnesses, no testimony, no hearings. From the time the charges were filed until the conviction was voted, or the impeachment was voted, it was about 50-some hours in the House. So I think that President Trump deserves the right to have his defense team in place to get to decide how they want to present the case. So we're going to delay things for 2 weeks, but there will be a vote today on the floor of the Senate in terms of whether this even should move forward.
Now, last question for you, Senator. I'll ask Senator Cruz and Senator Cotton this, as they're coming up later, and they're both lawyers as well. I assume President Trump will move to enjoin these proceedings in Florida in a district court, which would be appealed to the 11th Circuit and then to the Supreme Court. Have you heard one way or the other whether President Trump will attempt to stop the proceedings?
I haven't heard that. I know Lindsey Graham is in continuous contact with former president as well as a legal team, and he'd be a good one to talk to about that specific component.
I will do that. Last question, Senator, in terms of the $1.9 trillion ask from President Biden, what are the odds of that getting through the United States Senate?
Well, in the original form, none. There was, a bipartisan discussion over the weekend with the Biden administration and a group of senators, and there was significant pushback to the dollar figure and the distribution of money and how it was all to be spent at a time where we just committed $900 billion at the end of December, less than a month ago. Much of that money has not gone out yet. So we want to see how that is effective and what the real needs are. Will you stop by and see Rob Portman and shake him a little bit? Tell him I'll give him back his $5 from the Bengals game if he sticks around for 6 more years. We miss him. I'll tell you, we miss him already. I was with him last evening, and it's a great loss to the Senate.
It is, and he should change his mind. Senator John Barrasso of Wyoming, thank you. Conference chair of the Republicans. Coming right back, America. Stay tuned.
Portions of the Hugh Hewitt Show